Hi everybody, it's Kasia Dupuy from the Niagara-on-the-Lake Public Library. Hopefully you're having a wonderful Monday afternoon. And we're here this week for our regular NOTLLibrary Live, Create with Kasia, to make some Claude Monet inspired water lilies. So Monet is one of the most famous artists of all time. So I thought it would be cool to learn about him and learn about some of his techniques in our Summer 2020 Art History Series of Create with Kasia. So this is what we're going to make today. We're going to learn how to make a water lily inspired by Claude Monet using his techniques, some of his colors, and then we're going to add some of our own in there as well. So it's just 3 o'clock now. We're just about to get started. I'm going to flip over the camera very shortly just so I can do a quick run through of materials before we start getting into the painting part of the painting. But just a few housekeeping things. As usual, my internet actually has been pretty cooperative. I'm going to cross my fingers while I say that. It's been pretty good the last couple days. No interruptions, no drops. But if we do lose connection, I will be back. Don't worry. Also, there's someone also from the library who's watching the stream. So if there's any major issues, they will comment and let you know. Okay. If I don't make it back, like I haven't twice before, unfortunately, we will be uploading a video of this project to our YouTube channel. So even if things go really well, we will be uploading the video too. We always upload to our YouTube channel afterwards. So if you can only stay for a little bit, if you're only watching for a small tiny portion of the painting today, no problem. You can finish watching it later when the video is uploaded to our YouTube channels. Also, as usual, since I'm still working from home, doing the live streams, my boys are home. They're actually playing outside. My dogs one is actually sleeping here right now. Finn is who knows where. But if we get interrupted, no big deal. It will just make things more exciting and interesting today. Okay, so let's switch over because it is 3:02. Hi, everybody. And here is the painting that we're going to be working on today. So again, my name is Kasia Dupuy. I'm from the Niagara-on-the-Lake Public Library. And for this week's NOTLLibrary Live, Create with Kasia, we're going to be learning about Claude Monet. And Claude Monet is one of the most famous artists, most famous painters of all time. And he was actually known as one of the father of the Impressionist movement. So Impressionist means, if you're an Impressionist, it means that you paint with kind of fuzzy, blurry brushstrokes. It means that you have lots of soft, blurred lines. It means that you're not exactly trying to make your art look exactly like something. You're trying to get the idea of the artwork. So you know what? Let's flip over in a second. Before we do that, I'm going to show you some images of Monet's art up close and some of his very famous paintings that he's made. But before we get started, let's go through what you need to have if you're going to join us to paint today. So I made this on a piece of watercolor paper. I have lots of it. That's why I keep using it for all these projects. You can paint on anything you want. So you're going to need a surface. I have watercolor paper, but you can use cardboard. You can use a back of something. You can use an actual canvas. Copy paper works fine. Anything you want to paint on. Piece of wood, like a piece of scrapped wood. This can look really cool too. You're also going to need a safe surface to paint on. So right now I'm working on my drafting table, which is this green background here. You're going to need painting clothes, so clothes that you don't mind getting paint on if you accidentally do. You're going to need brushes. So I have my 3 trusty brushes here. I have my water square brush that's very fuzzy that I use for backgrounds. I have my square flat brush that I use for details. It's my favorite. And then I have a kind of, it's not really fine point. It's a round, technically used to be fine point brush, but it's kind of fuzzy. But I think that's going to work for today's Impressionist paintings. Yeah. You're also going to need a pencil or a piece of chalk to draw with because we're going to do a little bit of sketching before we get started. You're going to need painter's tape or masking tape. Now this is optional. It's only if you want to have the border. We use the tape to make, the border. If you don't want a border and you want your artwork to go right to the edge, that is totally fine. So that's optional. You're going to need water to wash your brush. You're going to need paper towel or a rag so that you can dry your brush after you wash it so it doesn't get too watery. You're going to need some paints. So today what you need are blue, yellow, and red. And remember, if you have blue and yellow, you can make this color here, some green, but I have some green, so we're going to use green. So blue, yellow, red, green, and then some black right here and some white. We don't use the black that much. I always have black in case I really want to darken something quickly. But if you only have a tiny bit of black, that's okay too. And then another optional thing, I've added it into my paintings here. It wasn't really an impressionist style technique, but I have some pastels that we can use to kind of soften the lines up like impressionists would have. Okay, so let me flip over here. Those are all the things you're going to need if you're going to join me. But I have some pictures of Claude Monet's water lilies. Some of the pictures there. So take a look. What do you see? Are they like very defined? Defined means that they're very clear lines. Does it look like a photo or not really? I don't think it does. It kind of gives you the feeling of what a water lily would look like or feel like, I guess, like soft and calm and bright, happy colors, but still gentle colors. A lot of his paintings, a lot of Claude Monet's paintings were from his garden, and that was kind of his happy place. After a long career of painting, he bought a house, I think, with his second wife, Alice, and they had this big, beautiful garden, and he thought he wasn't going to paint that much anymore, and then he started painting everything in his garden. So a lot of his paintings, especially as he got older, were of his happy place, his garden. So at the top there, you can see the one that's right, the painting that's right on the right, actually. And I did a close-up of it, and there's that little arrow showing it. From far away, his paintings, you can tell what they are, right? Like those are water lilies. The bottom one has a bridge with some trees over top. The one beside that is like a pond. But up close, they're very blurry, right? So we're going to paint like that today while we make our water lilies. We're going to use impressionist techniques to paint our water lilies. And this can be hard for some people, so don't worry if that, if that idea of that makes you nervous. You're like, oh, I want it to look perfect. Don't worry about it looking perfect. The more kind of messy, oh, you can see my shadow. The more kind of messy it is, the more you'll actually look like you've made something that Claude Monet would have painted. Yeah, and I have a cool story about that in a little bit. So let's pop over back to this angle here and let's get started. So this is the optional part. If you want to add a border to your painting, grab your tape, measure it out just roughly, rip it at the end, and then what you can do is take a cloth, or you can just put it on your shirt. That's what I often do, but you can't really see my shirt on the camera. And put this tape on the cloth to just get some of the sticky away. Because if you don't get some of the sticky off, it can actually pull the paper. And let me show you. I didn't do such a good job with that today. It doesn't bother me so much. But can you see right here? It kind of tore the paper away. It just adds some texture. But that's okay. Just depends how much you want it to be perfect. And sometimes things that aren't perfect are actually really cool and exciting, right? So I'm going to take my tape. I'm going to do a border all the way around my paper just really quickly. And you know what? I'm going to stop using the cloth. I'm going to put it right on my tummy and peel it off. Just so it's a little bit easier and faster. Just like so. Okay. So I've done the two long sides. I'm going to do this part here. So I'm just roughly measuring just like so. Rip it off. Put it on my shirt. Peel it off. You can even do that twice just to make sure it's not very sticky. And I'm going to put it on this side. Now, the other cool thing with tape is that you can change your surface size, right? Your canvas size. So I can put a piece of tape here and I'd have this long piece of, I'd have this long painting, right? Landscape style painting. Or you can take your piece of tape and instead of making a landscape long painting, you can actually also do it this way if you wanted, but mine fits better on the camera here. But you can actually make it into a square by just trimming it off here and putting it down like that. And you just paint here and then later you'd cut this off. Yeah. But you know what? Today we're going to make a long one just like so. Okay. So my border is done just like that. All right. So the next thing we're going to do is you're going to grab your pencil, or if you have a piece of chalk, that's even better. I usually draw with chalk when I'm doing a painting because the chalk rubs away. Whereas pencil, if you press really hard, or you press too much with it, you can get like a dark line that you can see always through your paintings, or you can carve so hard into your paper that even the paint settles into those spots, which sometimes looks really cool, but not for when we're making Monet necessarily. So I'm going to use a pencil, but if you want to use chalk, you can. And what we're going to do first is we're going to draw this lily pad. So if you look at the shape of it, it's an oval, but it's like a squished oval, right? It's not a big wide oval like an eye would be. It's like a squished oval. So let me move this out of the way again. Oh, did you see that? I just put all my paper into my paint. That stuff happens. No big deal. Yep, I can still use it. Okay, so we're going to make a squished oval, and we're going to put it close to the bottom of your painting here. If you wanted, you can make 2 water lilies by making 2 small ovals. So I would do maybe 2 like this. But you know what? To make it easy today, let's just do 1 simple one. So you're going to go across, come down a little bit, across, come down a little bit, or go up a little bit, and then kind of bend them like so. Now, if the edges don't exactly look the same, is that fine? Totally fine. Lily pads are not perfectly shaped all the time, so why would we try to make something that is perfect when it usually isn't even perfect in real life? And that's okay. Some of the best stuff is not perfect. So let's do a little slice in our lily pad. You don't have to do this if you don't want to, but what I'm going to do is put a little dot in the middle, and I'm going to draw some lines that go like that. So it's start from here, and you make 1 line that ends the lily pad, and you follow along and just make it a little bit wider at the end, because some of the lily pads have those kind of cuts, right? So how they grow, and then you can erase that, or if you have chalk, you can rub that away. Okay. So the next thing we're going to do is we're actually going to draw the big leaves of our lily. So we're not going to do all the little ones in between. We're going to add those in after. But what we're going to do is we're going to make a bunch of kind of almond shapes, okay? It's going to look very simple and very kind of clean, which is very unlike Impressionist, but this is just to get the framework of what we're making, okay? So I'm going to start in the center line here, go up and back down. Then I'm going to go here, up and back down, up and back down, up and back down. And let me see. Am I going to do one more? Yeah, I'm going to go like that. Okay. That's what my lily's going to look like today. Very simple. And what you can do too, if you're following along or if you don't like those lines in the middle, just very gently remove the lily pad line. Keep your petal lines here, because sometimes when you see them through or when you're painting, they help to create like a shadow. Because sometimes if you looked at petals up close, and if you haven't, I think you should go do it soon. Sometimes petals are see-through, right? The sun kind of goes through them and shines through them, and that makes them look really beautiful. So let's keep that in our painting. Okay, we're ready to start painting now. So grab the brush that you're most comfortable with, or the brush that will cover the most space. So for me, that's this one here. And you're going to take some water and mix it with your blue. And remember, every single week I always say I always have to grab a lot of water because my room here is very dry and I'm working on watercolor paper. But you're going to want to put a little bit of water with your paint today. And what we're going to do is start to paint like Impressionists. So watch this. We're going to paint really quick, and we're going to paint kind of messy, just like that. And I'm going to get in that little slice that we did right there. Now, the water in this is already creating different shades of blue, but every once in a while, I can go in and add some. And it's also totally okay if you get a little bit on the lily pad, because that will all work in today's painting. Now, I have the bottom part of my water here done, but I'm going to follow this horizontal way that I'm painting all the way up and around my lily. Oh, I kind of broke the rules there. Although, there's no real rules with this, right? So we're just going to take some more, but I'm always painting across. Because water, unless it's a waterfall, water likes to settle horizontally, right? Horizontally is this way, vertically is this way. So water likes to settle horizontally. So we're going to pretend that this lily is on a pond. And the angle that we're seeing this painting today is showing the water up close behind the lily. Yeah, just the angle that say that this was made, or the picture was taken if this was a picture, a photo. Well, I took a lot of dark blue there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take some more water on my brush, move the leftover blue over here, and move all this over. And look, I'm kind of breaking the rules. That's okay. But I'm also painting like an Impressionist and painting really quick. Because Impressionists weren't really about, getting perfectly fine details, like I said. They were more about getting the idea and the feel of a water lily. So if you're in a garden, do you think you'd be, meticulously, that means paying attention, really good attention to all the little details around you, or would you just be like soaking in and relaxing? Probably relaxing. Okay, so we have our blue. Now, because we're working like Impressionists, we're going to work fast, and I'm going to keep the blue on my brush. I'm going to take a little bit of green, and I'm going to mix in some green around my lily pad in the water, just like that. And this makes it look not only cool, but it kind of gives the impression, like Impressionists, that there are little bits of green that are reflecting in the water. Now, if you don't have green, guess what? You can do this with some yellow, and I'm going to show you. I'm going to get some blue, take a little bit of this yellow on my brush, and if you have both, you can totally do the same thing, but it kind of creates a different green, just like that. Yeah. There we go. Oh, look, I went into my lily a bit. That's okay. No big deal. Okay, so we painted the water like Impressionists. We did it really quickly. Let's start painting our lily pad. So it's going to be this section here and here. So I'm going to take some green. And you know what? This green is pretty strong. It's pretty like bright. It goes, but it's not my favorite. So I'm going to take a little bit of yellow at the same time. And what I'm going to do is blend them underneath on here, just like that. And I'm going to paint my lily pad. The lily is up here. Lily pad is down there. And again, does it have to be perfect? No way. This has to be painting quickly, and it makes it nice and fuzzy. And we know that a lily would sit on a lily pad. So we get the idea that we already know, our brains know that this would be a lily pad. So we just need the color there to remind us. And that's very yellow there. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to take a little bit more green and just kind of blend it in. Just like so. Okay, so my lily pad is done. Now, because Impressionists and especially Monet like to play around with the idea of light and shadow, what we're going to do is add some shadows onto here. So keeping this green that's on your brush, move it to a new spot, take a little bit of blue and mix that in, and we're going to make a darker green. Instead of adding black, we're going to add blue. And what we're going to do is take your brush and put some of the shadow underneath. Just like that. So I'm using a darker blue because my paint is going to dry still. So I'm just going in like that. Take some more green to soften that up a little bit, just like so. Because if the lily was blocking the sun from below, there'd be shadows under all the petals, right? And you know what? I'm even going to take some of this blue and work it in here. Monet also liked to use dots and dashes in his work, kind of like Van Gogh. So let's add some dashes of color, just like this in the background. Maybe these are other lily pads that we only see little reflections of. Just like that. Okay. Now, that's a little bit too strong for me. Sometimes when you're making art, you put some stuff down and you're just like, oh, I don't really like that. But you tried it, and that's the important thing. So I'm just going to take some green and kind of blend that back in like this. And you know what? Look, I'm using dashes now. Dashes are one of my favorite things to use. There we go. Okay. So let's see where we're at so far. So we've done the water. We've done the lily pad. We've done the water. Sorry, we've done the water, the lily pad. We've done some shadows. Let's add some color. Yeah. So let's start working on our lily. So I'm making a pink lily today. I don't know why. I think it just stands out nicely against the white, the green, and the blue. But you can make whatever color lily you like. So another one that looks really, really pretty is making like a orange lily by mixing your red and your yellow together. I'm going to mix the white and the red together. But you know what? Actually, I'm going to change my mind because why not? And I'm going to make kind of like a coral lily. So I'm adding a little bit of yellow into there too. It's going to be like more of an orangey pink lily. And then I'm going to take some white And that red is pretty strong, so I gotta add a little bit more than I thought. And yeah, so it's not quite pink. It's kind of like an orangey coral kind of lily. Yeah, that's what I want to go for today. Let's do it. Okay. Then what you're going to do with your lily color is you're going to start to color in the petals. Now, the way that my brain likes to make this is I like to kind of trace these first with the color. And remember, we're impressionists, so we're painting really fast today. It's not got to be neat. It just got to get done, right? We want to feel, help people to feel how a lily would make us feel. And I think lilies would be calm and happy. So I like doing things pretty quickly. So that's what we're going to paint like today, impressionists. Okay, sorry. So you can outline your things. This is the way that works best for me, when I outline them really quick. And then I can go back later and add some layers. And that is actually another thing, another way that Monet liked to do his paintings. He used very big brush strokes and dashes to build up the layers of his painting. So we've done pretty big brush strokes right here. Before I go any further though, I'm going to take a little bit of this paint, move it to a new spot, and just underneath here, I'm going to add some little dashes of this color. Because maybe that lily is reflecting in the water. And it doesn't have to only be down there. Look, I'm going to put some up here. And my brush is actually really dry, but I love the way that that's looking. Maybe there's a lily up there that we can't see. Yeah. And look how my brush strokes are still staying horizontal, just like that. All right. So I'm going to wash that brush because I got some blue on it, and I don't really want this lily to turn purple. But I'm going to grab my other brush. I'm going to go with this one. And I have some of this color left. So I'm going to take a little bit more white. And I'm going to make a lighter version of it. And what I'm going to do is start to build up some of these layers. Just like that. So I'm using bigger, kind of like quicker, kind of rough brush strokes. Just like that. To follow the lines of my petals and to also start to build them up. Just like so. Okay, so now I'm noticing, because I think I added a little bit of yellow to my red to make that coral. Sometimes when you add in different colors, it makes your paint a little bit more see-through, because yellow is not a really strong color. So all that means is that I have to go back with my brush with maybe some red. Maybe I'll make it a little bit pinker, just like that, but it's still going to be darker than my starting color here. And you can actually add a different color. So if you're making, say, a pink or an orange lily like me, you can go ahead and add, some red to it. If you're making a purple lily, you can go ahead and add some blue to it. You can pretty much add whatever color you want, because lilies come in all different colors in nature. So you can do whatever you wish. I'm just kind of following along some of these petals to give them some more depth and some more excitement, right? Some more interest into the painting. Ooh, the air conditioner's been on a lot because it's been very hot. So this room is very dry, so everything's drying really quickly. Okay. So another thing that I mentioned already is that Monet likes to play with light and dark. So all these little different layers that we're putting on right now are building up the painting and adding the light and the dark to it, right? Just like Monet would do. So I have these other colors here. So guess what? I'm actually going to take this red and I'm going to put a little bit in the water, just like a little bit. And I'm actually going to put a little bit onto the lily here, the lily pad, just like that. Because you know what? Maybe that's a shiny lily pad and it's reflecting the pink that's from the lily. Yeah, just like so. Yeah, I like that. So I still have that red on my brush. I'm noticing that some of my, the tips of my lily are getting a little bit lost, and so some of the leaves. So I'm just going to take white, and I'm going to just start to outline some of these. Just giving them a little bit of depth to them and highlight, right? Just like so. And then what I'm going to do too is I'm going to use my pastels, and you can use crayons or pencil crayons to kind of build it up afterwards as well. I'm going to let this dry a little bit. Now, I think some of these lines I made were a little too strong. So look, I'm just going to take a clean brush and just kind of soften them up a bit. Just like so. My brush just has water. I'm just softening some of those so that they don't look too strong or too defined. That's something that, you know, everyone has tricky days, right? About what to do and how things are going to work out. And maybe today this is my tricky day. I'm not quite feeling the impressionist style, or it's not coming easy to me. And that's okay. It just means I have to practice more, right? Okay. So we've got that done. We've got our lilies done. We have some pink in the water here. So I'm going to go back to my big brush, and my water has dried a little bit. The water in my painting, I mean. And I'm going to take some dark blue, like this, and move it to a new spot. And what I'm going to do is create a shadow underneath this lily pad, because right now this water looks exactly the same as this water. But there's really nothing covering this water, but the lily pad is covering it here, so it needs to be a little darker. So what I'm going to do is take some water, and I'm going to take a teeny tiny bit of black and make a darker blue. Actually, I'm going to do that right there. And my paint is very watery, and all I'm going to do is float that underneath the lily pad. So there's this line right between the lily pad and where the water starts. I'm just going to float a little bit right underneath. And float means I'm not really painting it on. I'm just kind of letting it sit there. I'm going to bring a little bit down here. You know what? Maybe I'm going to put a little bit there. Like so. Okay. Yeah. So that makes it look a little bit deeper. Gives it more depth to the water. Like there's a real shadow there. Okay. So we have done most of the painting of this. Now we're going to do some pastels. Yeah. So I'm going to bring my pastels over here. And my paint's pretty dry. Yeah, it's been drying pretty easy and pretty quickly. So what I'm going to start doing first is I'm going to take the colors of my lily. So I'm going to take some white, some red. You know what? I'm going to use this yellow because I think it would just look really pretty. And there's actually a little bit of orange in here. And what I'm going to do is take my white, and I'm just going to start to do some quick lines over top just like that. Now this really isn't a super impressionist style, right, technique, but I think it makes it look really cool. You see I'm keeping my lines horizontal. Yep, I'm just adding a little bit every once in a while to kind of make it look shiny. Just like so. Okay, so I think I'm done with white. Let's go on to some red. So I'm going to do, ooh, that makes it kind of glow. And this is where you can define those petals if you feel like they were missing some definition. Just like that. And I don't want to put too much in the middle. Let's put a lighter color. Well, maybe this lily has like yellow streaks in it. Just like that. So I've added some. Now, because we're reflecting the lily in the water, don't forget to put some yellow in the water too if you used it, or like a little bit of red, just a tiny touch. I'm not pressing hard with this. I'm just getting like a little taste of it on my painting. Also, let's put some detail on our lily. So I'm going to use my green pastel. I'm just going to do a little bit of definition here, and I'm going to take some yellow. And I'm doing a pretty good job of, painting and working like an impressionist today by working really quick. Yeah. We're almost done this, and it is just 3:30 now. Impressionists made a lot of paintings. Many of them made a lot of paintings because they were able to work really fast. There we go. You know what? I'm going to put a little bit of green in the water because maybe it's reflecting there. And this one, I feel like I'm missing a little bit more. So guess what? I'm going to go back in with my white and add some more details just like this. Okay. Another cool thing about Monet. is that there's a quick little story that I heard. I don't know if it's true, so I'm going to put a disclaimer out there. But someone had a theory. I've heard a theory about his painting, why they look so blurry, right? Someone has a theory that Monet probably couldn't see very well. So what he, sometimes if you wear glasses, I wear glasses, so I know that if I'm not wearing them, sometimes things are blurry or they're hard to see or they look different than what people who don't need glasses will see. So someone had a theory that because Monet needed glasses or had problems with his sight, he actually was able to create these amazing works of art due to that issue with his eyes. So yeah, the blurriness that he sees, that he saw, he put it down on canvas, and that actually became a really cool thing to notice. Maybe no one had ever really done that before, right? So that's kind of cool. I always thought that was neat. It might be a cool thing. If you do wear glasses, maybe try painting something that you see far away or up close, because some people can see far away, some people can see better up close. Whatever one is the weakest for you, try making a piece of art that looks like that, or what you see. That would be interesting. Yeah, so maybe this famous artist was famous because he couldn't see very well, and he made some amazing art because of it. So that's really cool. We can all use our strengths and our weaknesses in different ways, different amazing ways. Yeah. Also, the other cool thing about Monet's paintings, we made a really small one. Like this is like 9 by 12 inches. Monet's paintings, especially his water lily paintings, were massive. They were like meters big, like really long, really wide. So the other thing about his paintings too is that up close, they're very blurry. Like you wouldn't be able to tell what's a water lily or whether you're looking at like a cat or a fuzzy water lily or anything. But as you get farther away, everything kind of comes together and everything kind of makes sense. So that's another reason why I think that person that had the theory about him having bad eyesight kind of came to that. Because, sometimes I'm far away and I'm like, oh, that's a cat. But then it's actually my dog Evie. So, okay. So we are done our painting today. Yeah. So actually, you know what? I'm going to do one more thing. I'm going to take some purple. I'm just going to make some more shadows in here because I want to be an impressionist. Ooh, I like that. I'm going to put some shadows along where my petals would meet, just like that, to kind of break it up. Oh yeah, I like that. Because you know what? There's actually some purple here. So the purple in here mimics that. So it's harmony, right? Yep, okay, I like that. It needed some purple. So one more thing to do when you're done your painting, when it's dry, is to very carefully peel off the tape, just like so. And then you are left with your beautiful border, just like that. And if a little bit of paper comes off, that's okay too. But we are done a painting in the style of Claude Monet today. Great job, everybody. So thank you for joining me today for our third or fourth. It's actually the fourth one for our summer reading program, Art History. So we went through the basics. We learned about Van Gogh. Last week we did Mark Rothko, and this week we did Monet. So yes, lots of exciting stuff happening with our art history series. I love art history. So thank you again for joining. If you have any questions, comments, feedback, anything like that, please send me an email, kdupuy@notlpl.org. I'd love to hear from you. Or if you have made some amazing paintings, please send them to me. What we're hoping to do is throughout the weeks in the summer with any paintings or pictures of paintings that we've got, we'd love to do some social media posts about the awesome stuff you're making. So if you want to be famous on our social media page, please send me your pictures so I can put them up. Also, if you have any questions or requests of something to paint, please send me a quick email as well. I'd love to hear from you. Okay, so thanks again for joining. If you were only able to stay a little bit, no problem. This video will be up on YouTube very shortly. And we hope to see you the rest of the week at STEAM Storytime and any of our other online videos we have. So if you haven't been on our website for a while, check out the What to Do When the Library is Closed graphic. Click on that, and then there'll be a What to Do for Families. And then all of the videos for our summer reading program are under that heading. So check them all out. There's some cool STEAM and STEM experiments to do. There's lots of painting. There's STEAM Storytime, all that fun stuff on there. Okay. Enjoy the rest of your Monday, everybody, and I will see you later this week.